Okay.
Hello. So, at Pratt, when you're a student, or if you're a renter and you want to buy emulsion, you'll find the emulsion in the refrigerator, and you want to use this little one that says Pratt Classes. The other emulsions in here are either backup or they belong to other renters. The next step for coating your screen is finding a scoop coater that fits on your screen. And by that I mean that it only touches the mesh of the screen. So this is the right size scoop coater for this screen. This scoop coater is too large because it hits the frame of the screen. However, I could use it this way. The goal here is to have a thin, even amount of emulsion on the screen. So I'm gonna pour a bunch of emulsion into the scoop coater. And then I'm going to tip the scoop coater forward and wait for the emulsion to hit the front of the screen. Then I will pull it up across the screen, and when I get to the top, I'm gonna tip the screen back the other way and shimmy the scoop coater across it and pull away. And I'm gonna coat the screen 2 times. This is very awkward to do the first 10 or so times that you do it, and it takes some practice to get confident with holding the scoop coater and pushing it tightly against the screen. So if you do accidentally get an uneven amount of emulsion on your screen, you can still fix it. So to fix it, I'm just going to scrape off any extra emulsion that I can. And what I'm doing is I'm just pushing the scoop coater hard against the screen, and I'm not tipping it forward. If I've gone across this side lots of times, I might want to scrape the back side of the screen. So now I'm just gonna scrape this back side, and a lot of emulsion has come off of it. And then I might go across the front side. Now I have a pretty thin, even amount of emulsion, and I can let my screen dry in here, and I'm gonna put it over there, but just to show for this video, it's just gonna sit on these shelves like this in the corner. And you wanna start at the bottom near the fans. If there's screens at the bottom that are already dry, you can move them upwards and put your wet screen down next to the fans so it'll dry quickly. If I had a really big screen, I might want to use a smaller scoop coater and do, imagine this is a huge screen. You could do several lines of emulsion this way, and then flip it this way, and go that way, and then at the end sort of scrape it different directions so you get it to be really even and smooth and thin on the screen.
Okay, so we're going to coat our screen using this wall mount here. So you can place it with the flat side of your screen towards you, because that's the side we're going to be coating. Again, you want to pick a scoop coater that is smaller size than your screen, so it doesn't touch the frame, it will only touch the mesh. So if we were to coat this way, that's a little too big, so I'm gonna flip my screen coat in this direction. So I'll start from the bottom of my screen, only touching the mesh. I'm first going to tilt the scoop coater and wait for the emulsion to start touching the screen from the mesh from one side to the other of the scoop coater. And once it does, you're pressing towards the mesh as you're dragging the scoop coater up. Once you get close to the top, you can lower the scoop coat and then press to remove it. If you start to notice too much buildup of emulsion on the edge, you can just grab a paper towel and wipe the edge of your scoop coater to avoid it from dripping all over your screen. And once we're done with all our coats, we're gonna clean the frame of our screen. And I'll go ahead and do 2 more coats. The main thing is that if you press towards the mesh, then you're applying a thin, even layer of emulsion. You don't want it to be too thick. Check. And maybe a last layer. Sometimes I can check against the light. If I notice that my emulsion is uneven or build up in some areas of my screen, then instead of applying more emulsion, you can just use your scoop coater to scrape any excess emulsion from your screen. And before you're done, just make sure you wipe the frame really well. It's important to clean the frame of your screen because any drips that are too thick are gonna take a long time to dry, and then they're gonna get stuck in the glass and the rubber of the exposure unit. And now that our screen is coated, we can place it to dry with the screen facing up. And now for the cleanup, we're going to scoop our leftover emulsion back on the container. I like to get as much as I can out here or wipe it with some paper towels before I wash it in the sink to not bring too much emulsion into the sink. And before you close the container, just make sure you give it one last wipe. If you made a mess on the table, also make sure wipe the table down. And just place the container back on the top shelf of the fridge. And now we're gonna wash this in the sink.